There is a moment happening in the sky tonight that most Taurus horoscopes are going to get wrong. And if you have felt like the ground under your finances or your living situation has been shifting for weeks, you are about to understand exactly why and what to do next. Something rare is converging on your chart right now. Just yesterday, a full moon bloomed in Aquarius, and because Aquarius sits opposite your sign, it landed directly on your career axis while simultaneously stirring a slower, deeper current that has been building in your financial world for much longer than a day. Think of it like two rivers meeting. One is fast and immediate, the moon's monthly cycle peaking and about to recede. The other is slow and tectonic, a shift in the collective economic ground that has been moving for a while and is not finished yet. From the Western tropical lens, that full moon illuminated your 10th house, the house of career and public reputation, which means visibility, feedback, maybe even recognition for effort you have quietly put in over recent months. But there is a second layer to this. Some traditions note that this particular full moon carries an unusually charged, almost generational undertone. Comparisons have been drawn to cultural turning points from decades past, the kind of energy that does not just affect individuals but ripples through communities, relationships, even how people choose to partner up or walk away. You may notice more engagements, more breakups, more sudden relocations happening around you this week than usual. That is not coincidence. That is the tide moving. Meanwhile, in Vedic or sidereal tradition, today's moon is tracking through Capricorn, which frames things differently but points toward the same underlying message: motivation, practical ambition, the sense that something you thought was impossible might actually be workable if you approach it methodically. Your solar strength, that steady Taurus fire few people expect from an earth sign, is highlighted here. Vedic astrologers watching this transit suggest your most productive window today may fall in the early afternoon, roughly between 2 and 4:30. Here is where it gets interesting. On the life path scale, you are also living inside a much bigger financial and residential disruption cycle, one that is not about today or this week, but about a broader restructuring of how you live and where you live. This is the current you cannot outswim. Individuals, communities, even whole economies are being pulled towards something unfamiliar, and resistance is not really an option. Picture standing in the ocean as a wave builds behind you. You have two choices: turn your back and get knocked over, or turn around, catch it, and ride it toward shore. That is the invitation underneath everything else happening today. If you have been feeling unusually aware of your budget, your living space, or a nagging sense that the rules of stability just changed, you are not imagining it. That awareness is your solar strength doing its job. But here is what almost every astrologer covering today's chart misses: the career visibility from the full moon and the deeper financial restructuring are not separate stories. They are the same story told at two different speeds. The recognition arriving in your professional life right now, the highlights reel you might want to put together, the case for that leadership role you have been quietly building toward. This is happening at the exact moment the ground beneath your financial world is also shifting. That is not a coincidence a calm mind should ignore. It means the next 2 weeks are less about waiting to see what happens and more about positioning yourself while attention is already turned your way. In love, this full moon energy is famously complicated for partnerships, not because it brings bad news, but because it brings movement. Many people with this transit report relationships either deepening into commitment or reaching a natural, honest ending, with very little middle ground in between. If you are partnered, this is a moment for real conversations, not avoidance. If you are single, the astrological chatter suggests unusually high odds of meaningful connection over the coming months. This window has been compared to past cultural moments defined by sudden, sincere bonding. Take a breath here, because whichever version applies to you, the theme is the same: authenticity, not performance. is what the sky is rewarding. On the career front, that recognition arriving through your 10th house deserves a grounded response rather than a dramatic one. If feedback comes in, the practical move is to take what is useful and let the rest go, rather than treating every comment like a referendum on your worth. State plainly what you have completed, what is next, and what support would help you get there. Quiet, steady confidence tends to open doors that loud announcements never do, and for an earth sign like you, that is not just good advice. It is your natural register. And this bridges directly into money, because the same steady confidence applies there too. The broader economic tide moving through your sign is not asking you to panic, it is asking you to adjust your sails. Patience is doing real work right now, especially around financial or family-related friction. Practical plans, the kind you can actually see through, are what create the sense of forward motion you are craving. Here is what makes today genuinely rare, and it is the detail worth remembering. Two entirely different timescales are peaking at once, a fast lunar cycle asking you to show up and be seen, and a slow generational tide asking you to adapt your entire relationship with stability. Most people will only notice one of these. The people who notice both are the ones who end up looking back on this month as a turning point. That awareness should carry directly into how you treat your body and your mind over the next few days. Familiar routines, the ones that already work, deserve more credit than novelty right now. Consistent effort, even small daily habits, tend to show visible results during a stretch like this. If you are drawn to color as a grounding tool, earthy pastel tones are traditionally associated with steadying, protective energy, a simple, safe way to support your mood without needing any deeper intervention. Some Vedic practitioners might also recommend specific remedies tied to today's planetary pattern, but that kind of prescription genuinely depends on your individual birth chart, so treat any gemstone or ritual suggestion as something to explore with a professional rather than something to adopt universally. At home, expect the same theme of quiet recalibration. Family conversations may carry more emotional weight this week, particularly anything touching old wounds or long postponed decisions about where you live. A rift that has been sitting unresolved could find an opening to heal, not through grand gestures, but through small, sincere ones. If travel comes up in the next few days, treat plans with a little extra flexibility rather than rigid expectations. This is a week better suited to adaptability than to fixed itineraries. Spiritually, the invitation is simple. Notice where you are gripping the shore instead of the wave. For the rest of today, lean into early afternoon hours for your most important decisions. Favor earthy tones if you want a visual anchor, and let steady, grounded actions speak louder than dramatic ones. If there is one thing to carry forward from everything the sky is doing right now, it is this. You do not need to control the wave. You just need to decide whether you are going to ride it or be left standing on the shore, watching everyone else move forward. Whichever way you choose today, do it with the quiet, unshakable steadiness that has always been your greatest strength. And if this resonated, you already know where to find tomorrow's story.